17 experienced doctors stood in the sterile hospital room, their faces heavy with exhaustion and disbelief. For hours they had tried everything modern medicine could offer. Advanced machines hummed softly. Monitors flashed unstable readings, and emergency procedures were repeated again and again with no response. Each doctor had arrived with confidence built on years of training and countless saved lives. But one by one, that confidence faded. Every option had been exhausted. There were no new ideas left, no treatments untried, no miracles medicine could promise. Quietly, the lead physician removed his gloves and stepped back. His silence spoke louder than words. The team exchanged helpless glances, finally reaching the conclusion they never wanted to face. The boy lying on the bed was beyond saving. His breathing was shallow, his body still, and the machines that once offered hope now felt like cruel reminders of failure. The room seemed to grow colder as reality settled in. Hope officially disappeared from the room. Nurses lowered their eyes. Some doctors clenched their fists, others swallowed hard, struggling to accept defeat. The boy's small chest barely moved, and every second felt heavier than the last. This was the moment doctors dread, the moment when knowledge, skill, and science all fall short. Outside the glass walls, the hospital continued its routine, unaware that inside this room, 17 brilliant minds had reached the same painful conclusion. Nothing more could be done, or so they believed. What none of them realized was that fate had not finished writing this story yet, and that hope, though invisible, was quietly waiting for its most unexpected messenger. As machines beeped in uneven rhythms, the sound echoed through the room like a countdown no one wanted to hear. Each sharp tone reminded everyone how fragile the moment had become. The doctors stood frozen, unsure of what to do next, while the silence between the beeps grew heavier with every passing second. It was the kind of silence that pressed against the chest, filled with fear, regret, and unspoken goodbyes. In the middle of that tension, a small figure moved. A little girl, barely tall enough to see over the hospital bed, took a hesitant step forward. She had been standing quietly near the corner, unnoticed and ignored, clutching her hands together as if holding on to courage itself. No one expected her to move. No one thought she would dare. Her soft footsteps broke the silence. A nurse turned sharply, about to stop her. A doctor opened his mouth to speak, but it was too late. The girl reached the bedside, her eyes fixed on the boy's pale face. There was no fear in her expression, only innocence and determination. In a room ruled by rules, protocols, and authority, her presence felt almost forbidden. She did something no one expected, or allowed. With trembling hands, she acted not out of knowledge, but out of pure belief. The doctors watched in stunned disbelief, their years of training clashing with the simplicity of what they were witnessing. Time seemed to slow as everyone realized they were no longer in control of the moment. The machines continued to beep. The silence held its breath, and in that fragile space between life and loss, a little girl changed everything before anyone could stop her. Her single innocent action happened so quietly that, at first, no one understood its significance. It wasn't calculated or guided by medical knowledge. It came purely from a child's heart. The little girl acted without hesitation, without fear of consequences, as if some unseen force had pushed her forward at the exact moment hope had vanished. In that fragile instant, the room seemed to pause, waiting. At first, nothing changed. The doctors exchanged doubtful looks, some shaking their heads, convinced it would make no difference. Then suddenly, one of the monitors flickered. A sharp, unfamiliar sound cut through the silence. A nurse froze, staring at the screen. Another machine followed, its rhythm shifting from chaotic to steady. The impossible was unfolding right in front of them. Gasps filled the room. Doctors rushed back to the bedside, eyes wide, disbelief written across their faces. Numbers they had accepted as final began to change. A weak breath escaped the boy's lips, barely noticeable, but real. In that moment, shock replaced defeat. Science had failed minutes earlier, yet something extraordinary was now happening. No one spoke. Words felt useless against what they were witnessing. The doctors, once so certain, stood speechless as the boy's condition stabilized. The room that had been filled with despair now pulsed with life. Tears welled in the eyes of hardened professionals who had seen everything, except this. That single, innocent action rewrote the ending they thought was inevitable. It changed the boy's fate forever and left the doctors with a truth they would never forget. Sometimes the greatest miracles come from the smallest, most unexpected hands.